Yesterday, Bull, you and I had a chance to sit down with Guardians outfielder Stephen Kwan. Do you want
Yeah.
to set up the interview, and we'll toss to our conversation with Mr. Kwan?
Kwan is a guy we all like. Obviously, he's been a tremendous one of the few bright spots for the team last year. And we got into a bunch of things with him, including potential contract extension, his ability to play center field, which he did a little as a rookie, but not at all last year. That and a whole lot more. Enjoy this conversation that Mike and I had with Stephen Kwan. Great to have Stephen Kwan with us. So, Stephen, I wanted to start with this because you're out in Arizona, spring training. It's beautiful. We're stuck in the cold weather here in Cleveland. I know you're a Bay Area guy. When the season starts and you come from Arizona and you come to Cleveland and what it's like in April often with terrible weather, there's always talk about it being such a tough adjustment. How do you find that? Is it really as tough as people make it out to be, playing in that often awful weather in April?
Yeah, it's not very fun. I mean, I think the one that gives me comfort is that we're all dealing with it. So obviously, if I'm cold, then the other team is cold as well. I had my off season in Chicago, and it's pretty similar to Cleveland in that regard. So I think I'm trying to learn to play in the cold, embrace the cold. But especially, yeah, when you're in Arizona and it's super warm, going to the cold is the last thing you want to do.
Coming into your third season now, Stephen, what are some of the things that you have kind of taken a bigger focus in to improve your game from 2022 to 2023 and now 2023 to 2024?
Yeah, so that first off season, 22 to 23, I just remember being super wide-eyed. Like, we had a great season. Playoffs didn't go how we wanted, but we still made playoffs when we really weren't supposed to. So I remember when the season ended, like, I was just so relieved to be done, took some vacation, took some time off, was just enjoying being a big leaguer. And then next thing I know is, like, middle of December, and I'm like, oh, gosh, I need to get this ramped up. Came into spring a little behind, and we regulated, but it wasn't really where I wanted to be. So having this 23 to 24 year, I think my mindset was a lot better, a lot sharper. Started like October, kind of took 2 weeks off, mental break, but then got right back to it. And I feel like I'm in a way better spot this year than I was last year at the same time.
Steve, a lot of old school baseball people and fans see these advanced statistics like WAR and whatever, and they're like, "What? I don't understand that. I don't know what it means." As a player, like I recently, we've seen like your WAR for your first 2 years as a left fielder. You're up there with some like all-time great players. Do you? I love advanced stats. I try not to be old school. Are players in general, and you specifically, do you pay attention to all of that information?
I think, yeah, we do pay attention to it, but more like after the year's over. Because I think with any stat, if you're looking at it throughout the year and, one game you see it go up and then the next game you see it go down, like that's going to really get in your head. So like during the year, I don't really like to look at those advanced stats as much, but I think they tell a really good picture at the end of the year, and you can kind of dissect like what went well, what didn't. It's cool. It's definitely a cool way to kind of tangibly put like an idea of like where you were during the year. So yeah, I for me, I like it.
Stephen, I know in the big leagues you've mostly played left field. I don't think you played center or right at all last year. Is that correct? I know you did as a rookie, but I can't.
Yeah,
but I
no,
don't think, right? You only played left. So I think you played about 30 innings in center field, period, in the big leagues, give or take. A lot of people have asked me, because I'm a big baseball guy, can Stephen Kwan play center field if it were necessary for you to play every day? And I always say yes. But I'll ask you, do you think you would be as good? You're an elite left fielder. You won Gold Glove 2 years in a row. Do you think you'd be as good in center in the big leagues as you are in left?
I think that's a tough one to say. I think like confident, I kind of have to say that I would be as good, right? Just to kind of believe in my own. But yeah, it's definitely different. I think it'd be pretty close, but I think as a team that kind of hurts us in a way, because now I have to adjust to learn how to play center field, and then somebody else has to adjust to learn how to play left. And there's learning curves with all of that, growing pains, and it might work out, but the same thing, it might not. So I know Tito at least was very comfortable. If somebody's stick to the spot and they're doing well, leave them there, even if they may play a different position better than somebody else. Like, you stick to what's working and what's been rolling. Obviously, Vogue, I'm sure will have a different kind of mindset, but
Yeah.
that's kind of where I feel with it.
You mentioned Tito and Vogt, which was my next question anyway, but you spend your first 2 years in the pros with a future Hall of Famer, a legend, in Terry Francona. You move on to Stephen Vogt now, who's making his managerial debut this season. It's early, and you guys have barely gotten to Arizona, but what are some of the little differences you've noticed from your early conversations with Stephen Vogt that just are a little different and maybe different way of thinking than how Terry did it for the last, 3 decades in the MLB, which worked, but, new year, new era, new mindset is always, or change is always not always a bad thing.
Yeah, I think mindset is kind of hard to see still. I talked to him on the phone a couple times. He seems really genuine, really cool. Yeah, not a dig towards Tito, but I think the biggest thing that I realize is different is you see Vogue everywhere walking around. He's all up in the field. He's in the dugout. He's chirping a little bit. Tito was very sensitive when he would come out to the field and kind of make his presence known. It's cool though. It's cool just kind of seeing Vogue everywhere pop up, analyzing of course, but just kind of being one of the guys. So that's been really cool so far, and it helps further his thing being a players coach.
The fact that he was playing 2 years ago, like in your rookie season, have you guys talked about that at all? That he literally was on the field with you guys 2 years ago. Now he's leading a ball club in this capacity.
Yeah, no, it's wild. We've made jokes like we had a scouting report on him 2 years. Like that's still out. It's cool though. I think it's a unique angle that he'll still have the mindset of being a player, but obviously now he's in this coaching role. I think that's going to be super different. I think that angle is going to lend itself really well. So again, it's going to be great in these next coming weeks, but yeah, haven't seen it develop yet.
Steve, I really wanted to commend you because I think a lot of athletes in general, not just baseball players, are afraid to be vulnerable, are afraid to say, hey, I'm a human, I'm flawed just like anybody else. I was listening to you when you were on MLB radio a couple weeks ago, whenever it was, and I thought it was a fascinating interview, and you talked about how when you were a freshman in college, you had imposter syndrome. And I was blown away by that because I feel like a lot of players probably experienced that but would be afraid to admit it. And the fact that you were not afraid and you were bold and confident in yourself to admit that, I think can help young athletes that may have been scared that they were feeling that way and may have been afraid to talk about it. And maybe because you, a professional athlete, talked about it publicly, that maybe they will be able to talk about it with a friend or a therapist or whoever. So I wanted to commend you on that. I thought that was really impressive. And it was fascinating to hear you talk about it.
Yeah, that's super kind of you to say, first off. I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, I had a coach tell me also, like, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be real, look yourself in the mirror and understand what's going on. I think a lot of sports in general, it's a lot of like pride, ego, like, I'm going to suppress my feelings and hopefully I just work through it. And that might work for people that are like super talented and super toolsy, but I didn't have those kind of gifts. I had to really come to terms with a lot of those things, understand it. And I think when you identify them, you can work through it. So I think it's super important. I think just being a great athlete, but then also being a good person. If you can handle those things as a person, I think the sports will follow.
Who is the current best chess player on the Guardians? Is it you? Is it Tristan? I mean, is there a wild card out there somewhere? Who's the champ right now?
So I think the general consensus is me, but so we have a tournament next week, and we've been kind of training in the locker room. I've been times. Bo got me a couple times. We got a guy, Daniel Schneeman. He's gotten me a couple times. It's going to be a good tournament, but I think general consensus is me right now, but I think I'm slowly falling off that pedestal. So I got to get back in the lab and start grinding again.
Any talk? I know you got to be careful about what you say, but I'll throw it out there anyway. Are you interested in conversations about an extension at this point, and have you had any conversations about it?
Yeah, I'm always open. I mean, I love Cleveland. I love the area. People love the Midwest. I love everything about it. Yeah, none of the talks have come up yet, but it's early. We'll see what happens, but it could be something really exciting that comes up.
Steve Becker, I'm also always interested in having extension talks if you want to extend my contract as well. Steven, last year, almost this exact time last year, we had Will Brennan on, and I started the Will Brennan for 2023 MVP campaign. I was fighting the good fight, and then material changes happened. It didn't work out. I think he got robbed. Shohei It was really Will Brennan's award.
It was close.
It was close.
Yeah.
So, Stephen, I want to present this opportunity to you. I will be the champion, the campaign manager of the Stephen Kwan 2024 AL MVP Award. If you want it, first off, do you accept? I will be your champion and campaign manager for that award campaign if you accept. And there's only one caveat. Did he freeze? No.
Yeah.
Okay, except just wanted to make sure. I didn't want to.
Yeah.
We need the opportunity to come back to a Cleveland Guardians game and throw out the first pitch again. We did it in 2022, and Curtis snubbed us in 2023.
He did snub.
But I will champion and campaign for you to win AL MVP. I'll attack anyone on Twitter who says a single bad word about you if you can get Curtis let us throw out a first pitch again in 2024.
You really put that on him?
Yeah. That can't be a hard little thing. As long as Kelsey doesn't want to come in and throw that first pitch, I'm sure we can get that done.
Beautiful. We did it in 2022. Jay was the only one that got to throw the pitch, though. I want my chance to throw a pitch as well.
Steven, I'm curious. Like, as fans, the fans are a little frustrated because the team, there are very few additions made to the team, right? You traded for Scott Barlow, which is a sneaky nice move. I like him out of the pen. You brought back Austin Hedges, who everybody loves and looks like our director. But that's it. And obviously, the one area specifically that you guys were lacking last year was power. You guys finished last in the league in home runs. Yeah, I mean, you got young guys. Maybe Bo Naylor's going to hit some home runs. Maybe Kyle Manzardo, if he gets a chance, is going to hit some home runs. But as a fan base, the fans are like, well, where are we going to get the home runs? Are you confident that you guys have the players there that could pick up the home run total? And do you share any frustration that the team didn't really spend much money this offseason?
Yeah, no, I think we got the tools that we need. And I think it's probably cliche, and we've heard it a bunch of times, but I mean, home runs don't always equate to, total offense. I think we have a lot of guys that can do multiple things. And I think, I do think the home runs are going to increase with different players. I think we have a lot of guys that are maturing and figuring the league out. I think we got the pieces that we need. Obviously, a new coaching, that'll be good to kind of manage between, but I think we have our pieces. I think we had a down year last year. We were kind of just expecting to roll through things. I think getting our butts kicked a little bit and having some failure as a team, that's going to be really big to ignite that fire.
Last one for me, Stephen, and this is not a silly question, but it's a serious one that I'm curious about that may have a silly answer. Is there if you end up going in a slump, we hear about players having superstitions, slump busters to knock them out of a slump. Mark Teixeira back with the Yankees always wore a gold thong when he was in a slump, and I can't imagine players are doing that now, but do you have any slump busters up your sleeve in case you ever fall into those situations, or a superstition you do to get yourself back on track if things don't go your way for a couple
of games?
Yeah,
but that's not a real slump buster is something we can't talk about on the air, but go.
Well, I'm trying to be PG. We're a family television show here, Bull.
Let me think. I don't want to be that boring answer, but I try to stay away from the superstition because, like, college, I definitely overdid it. That's probably why I was so bad. But I mean, I tried everything in college, and I think transitioning to being a little more mature in the big leagues, I try not to let those things affect, just stick to the routine that you trust. I guess if I had to choose something, like, we get these, like, for like Father's Day or like big holidays, we get new socks. And they're just so soft out of the package. And if I fall into a little hole of hitting, I'll just get a new pair of socks. I want something nice and soft on my feet. They get a little torn up in the washer. I wish I had something better for you, like a gold thumb.
What were the college ones, Stephen? What were some of the ones freshman year of college that didn't end up working out?
Oh my gosh, same cereal, same path to like my class before the game. Walk home the same way. It was outrageous.
Stephen,
couldn't talk. It was crazy.
Best and your favorite and least favorite stadiums to play in, besides Cleveland.
Favorite's probably Fenway because I get to play in front of the monster and left. I mean, that's just iconic. It's super cool. The history there is awesome. Least favorite is probably. So a lot of people would say Oakland, but I'm from the Oakland area, and I think the stadium's super charming, so I like Oakland. I think the worst one for me would be Tampa. And my extra caveat is a day game because that roof is like translucent. You can kind of see through it, but not completely through. But if the sun's above it, it blends in with the ball, and it's not fun. Like, I talk to Miles all the time. I don't know how Kevin Kiermaier won a platinum glove there. I couldn't see a dang thing out there. So that guy is a real stud. But
you're in a bar. You don't strike me as a bar fight type of guy. But in theory, if you were in a bar fight and you could only take one of your teammates to fight with you, who you taking?
Oh, definitely Josh. Not. And I will say, yep, there's the picture right there. You guys already knew. I will say, Josh is actually, like, contrary to what he's on the field, like, he's a huge teddy bear. But, like, if you wrong one of the boys or him, and you disrespect any of us, like, then he turns into a demon. So I would follow that man. If you guys asked that question, if you had to survive on an island, I'd probably pick him. That man does it all, but I don't want it to get mixed up that he's just this like rage monster all the time. He's like a traditional Canadian, super nice.
And what about if you were doing a comedy show? Who's your leading act? Who's the funniest guy on the team?
Probably Miles. Miles is just a fool. You know, I think he would just, you never know what's going to come out. He's so good at just like running with something. His improv is pretty good. He's got to be up there. Hedges might be up there too. He's more of an act guy, but those are two strong ones I would go with. I
know you got to run, so this will be the last one, and we'd be remiss. Our director does look just like Austin Hedges, but you guys got him back this offseason. How nice is it to have Austin back with you guys? And we know from everyone we've spoken to, he is the epitome of the ultimate clubhouse guy.
Yeah, no, he was huge. So his first day was yesterday. I didn't see him in the morning, but later in the day we had live ABs. And I'm walking to the plate, and all of a sudden I just hear someone from the bullpen yell, "Bring the infield or bring the outfield in." I was like, who's chirping me in live ABs? Like, there's no defenders, obviously, and I didn't reply, so he yelled it again. And I'm like, oh my god, this guy's really doing it. So he made his presence known real early. But I mean, like, Alex heard that. He got a couple laughs. I mean, I think that's the kind of glue that you need as a team. Just keep everybody close and loose, but still give everybody a hard time. It's going to be a fun year with it for sure.
Stephen, we really appreciate taking the time.
Thank you, man.
We're big fans of yours, and we're hoping the Guardians have a great season, man. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, I really appreciate the time, guys. Talk soon, I'm sure.
All right, great chatting with Stephen Kwan. Real down, we're interviewing him, but Mike and I had a chance to talk to him before we started the interview for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Very nice, down-to-earth guy.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. Mike told the story off the air about how Mike and his girlfriend were at a bar. I won't say what it was. Was that in the interview? No.
What?
That wasn't in the interview.
It wasn't in the interview. You can say it. It doesn't matter.
I don't want to do it. But anyway, they were in a bar, and Stephen Kwan was sitting at the next table, and nobody was even noticing him, right?
No, I mean, I knew who he was. I wasn't going to say anything, but not a single person there knew who he was.
I made the point to him, and he's like, you're right. I'm like, unless you're Aaron Judge, basically, baseball players aren't getting noticed at restaurants for the most part.
Very, very rarely.
Because they look like normal people.
Yeah. NBA players and NFL players tend to stick out a little bit.
It depends. I mean, like, Tyvus looks like a normal person.
Congratulations, you're normal.
That's all I wanted to be in my life. I just wanted to be labeled as normal.
Tyvus, you don't stand out like, you're not 7 feet tall. You're not 300 pounds.
Tyvus is a big dude.
No, he's a big dude. But he doesn't.
I don't know if it comes across on the show how big he is.
He is certainly a big dude, but he's not even like G. Bush big. No. G. Bush is like the size of a house.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I'm getting up there in weight.
But it was great talking with him. Very down to earth guy, nice guy. Obviously, he's got to believe the lineup's not good enough, but he's not going to say that. I'm not going to hold his feet to the fire.
What would you do if he said that? You like?
Oh, that would have been awesome.
To be honest with you, we suck. Yeah, we need to get some bats in our lineup.
It was funny because I'm listening to MLB radio this morning, and they were talking about the Cubs this morning, and Steve Phillips was saying, well, they don't have one big time power hitter because they haven't re-signed Bellinger yet. The expectation is they will eventually, but they haven't. And Eddie Perez, who's doing the show with him, he's like, yeah, but they got a bunch of guys who can hit 20, 25 home runs. And he named like 5 or 6 guys because the Cubs really they don't have one elite power hitter, but they got a bunch of like decent power hitters.
Must be nice.
And I'm thinking, man, the Guardians have like one guy that can hit 20 home runs.
Jose?
We take a whole bunch of 20 home runs.
They have 2.
Josh Naylor.
Has Naylor ever hit 20? I don't think so.
No, but he could.
He could, but like That's a stretch.
Listen,
Bo Naylor.
What's that?
I've heard a report that Miles Straw's coming into camp
right.
50 pounds heavier.
I mean,
Power hitter.
You ready to pull the jersey? You ready to
Power
pull the
hitter.
jersey? Are you on for every home run he hits? You'll wear the jersey again?
Do I
Miles
have it
Straw.
still?
It's upstairs.
We still have your Miles Straw jersey
So
upstairs.
Ramirez, if he's healthy, will hit 20. I agree with Jason. Naylor's got a shot to hit 20.
Both Nailers.
He missed time last year. Bo Naylor could hit 20, but it's
Probably
unlikely.
not. Probably.